iPhone.
So I'm on, but my connections might be spotty.
Okay, thank you.
All right, somebody else say something, please. Just anybody at the moment.
Hello.
Happy birthday.
There we go. Okay, I was trying to get rid of the echo that I was hearing in the background, and apparently it was my computer picking up and remodulating and all that. All right, so we'll call the meeting to order. Will you join me in the flag salute, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of
and to the
America,
republic for which it stands, one
which
nation,
stands
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. So keep in mind, this is the board budget approval meeting, among other things that we will get done for business. And we have a bunch of signing that will have to be done either tonight or tomorrow at the district office. So those of us who have come into school and are social distancing and wearing masks as such, will sign things here tonight, and then those of you who are further away can wander in and sign things. Not wander? You don't want them to wander?
I just want to know how late.
Yeah, just let Evelyn know when you will come in, and she will make sure that things are available and ready for you. But don't
Mike,
just
do you
show
have
up
anyone other than Charles Cosser that is excused today?
Mike.
Paul Carter, have not heard from.
Thank
Jason
you.
Schulten just said he'd be a little bit late. And Chuck will be excused.
I'm sorry, who else was that?
Chuck will be excused.
Yes, Chuck remains excused.
Jason's coming late.
Jason's going to be late. Okay.
And Paul Carter, I haven't heard from him. And here comes Stacy Lozano.
All right, any adjustments to the agenda?
Yes. Under 7B, staff resignations, Carrie Moody. C, staff nominations, Tim Thompson, grade 4, Sebastian Valley Elementary School. Review item adjustment to the current 1920 calendar. And also a potential motion and discussion to allow the superintendent. This is driving me nuts. Holy crap, sorry. To provide compensation to frontline COVID workers, which would be our bus drivers and our cooks, if we have money coming back from money that was made due to the volume of lunches that we've done. That's it.
All right. First item for action is approval of the minutes of April 14th, 2020. I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Robin?
Second.
Second from Leyland. Any amendments or adjustments to those minutes?
You're gonna have to be patient with me. I can't hear a thing. So I have Robin and Leland.
Yeah.
I can't hear anybody else.
No, nobody else has spoken yet.
Thank you.
So if you would, Darcy, can you call the roll for approval of the minutes?
I can. I'm gonna call the whole roll. If you're not here, just don't answer, obviously. Mark Hansen,
Yes.
Jen Watson, Karina Karen.
Yes.
Is that a yes?
Yeah, here.
Thank you. Chris, Josh Keyser, Ryan Parker,
Yes.
Mark Guzzi,
Yes.
Leland,
Yay.
Bill, Robin,
Yes.
Veronica,
Yes.
Celia, Ken, Kelleher.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Ken Sands,
Yes.
Jason,
Just let 3 more people in.
Stacy,
Yes.
and Chad.
Yes.
She heard it.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Thank you. So now is the point where we have public comment for the public to bring to the notice of the board anything of importance. Any public comment? Okay, hearing none. Reading of communications. We all should have received the email with the administrative communications on board. I want to thank the administrators for providing those important updates. Any members of the board have questions arising out of those? Superintendent, communications. Mike.
Did Celia get in? Celia, are you on now?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right. Sorry. I just have one piece of communication. It was from the Sebastic Regional Land Trust. Jeff Gambaro and his crew did some clearing on the preserve. They wanted to thank us, thank him for us. And the letter reads, I'll read the first paragraph. Dear Mrs. Dell, as Secretary and member of the Board of Directors for Sebastic Regional Land Trust, as well as the Land Steward Pleasant Lake Preserve in Stetson, I want to take this opportunity to thank you for allowing Mr. Jeff Gambaro and students in his alternative education program to assist in the development and clearing of the newest trail, the Shoreline Trail at Pleasant Lake Preserve. We are very pleased with the results, and especially the fact that we were able to open it up for business at the beginning of the year, much sooner than anticipated because of their hard work in less than ideal conditions. And if you want to get a copy of this, there's some pictures and more details about that.
Superintendent's report.
Just keep it brief about most of the business that we're going to discuss. There's a couple updates on the building committee, building project that we need to discuss, and the calendar, which is important, and because that's the end of the year. I'm sure Mayor will talk a little bit about graduation, and just realize that I can't wait to get back into school with kids and people instead of being in a box online.
I don't have much to add to that. I just know that everybody's doing a really good job of kind of being patient and cooperative, and I really appreciate that. Budget and Finance Committee.
I think we'll discuss most of that later.
Building Committee, Chad.
We had a meeting and it was a quick one. We just discussed progress on the demolition of the old building and the fact that we have a new rep for our water company that's taking care of the well project in Somerset. And I guess Mike has a few other things to say. You said, Mike?
Yeah. So obviously, if you were up here right now, you drive down and the whole thing is empty on the middle floor of the main high school wing. They're going to try to demo that at any point in time, but also remember that the delay in that is because of the asbestos and those types of things. And the two things that I would say is that we are looking at we've wrapped up all the funding and what we've had to spend so far, and we're probably going to have to go out with a bond in the fall for around $1 million to finish off the project. And that is because of overruns in the project, starting from the well, the water, working with getting that standpipe in and out, and it didn't work. Delays in electrical overruns, and those types of things. And it's not that we have to go back to the voters for another piece of this bond. It is that because our bond originally was for like 60,
I don't
70
use Zoom, so I don't know like what I've done.
So it's underneath the amount that we asked voters originally for, so we don't have to go after them. We just have to go to the bond bank. It's unfortunate, but everything that we encountered was out of our control as far as what we saw from the owner's perspective on this.
Yeah, that's it for the building committee. I mean, the IT wing, we talked a little bit about that too. Some of the finishing stuff that's been going on. But that's it. Any questions?
I have that.
I assume that the tests come out all right on the well.
The well is another part. We discussed briefly at the building committee, and there's some more tests that we need to run through that. And we've got a new representative, like Chad mentioned, and we're going to have to go back to the building committee on that a little bit. The water's good, but there's a few more tests we need to run, and we're looking at storage. So that's kind of still a work in progress. There's more testing that needs to be done, Ken.
Yeah. Okay, Mike. One thing I'd like to ask is if the people ain't talking, if they would please hold it down, because the people are listening. Background talk, you can't hear nothing.
We can barely hear you, Ken.
That was partly my fault, Ken. I lost y'all, and I had to go get my technical support in order to like find y'all. So I'm muting myself now.
Mike, on this bond, this is going to be our part to pay all of it, or is this going to be partly paid by the state funds?
It's still state funds, Robin. It's not local money. It's just that the first, our first project was underneath the amount of money that we raised, but it's not going to be local money. We're not going to the voters for this bond. We're going to the bond bank.
Right.
So we'll put a certain amount in our budget for a payment for the following year, but it'll all still come back through the state and paid to us. So that's a good question. It's not going out to voters for a bond, and it's not public money. It'll be they're not private Newport RSU 19 money. It's state money again.
And also our finances, our rating must be much better than it was the last time we went out for a bond, so it shouldn't be anything to hold us up.
No, we've already been in conversation with the main bond bank. We actually have enough interest in our account to cover the loan. It's just kind of crazy why we have to go back out and do it this way.
Mike, you just said that this is all come back to us from the state, but we'd have to bill it in the budget next year, $1 million.
No, we have to have a small payment to cover our port, you know, how do we put that in, Joe? As far, what do we describe that as, our portion of the one payment of? You know what I'm talking about?
Well, it wouldn't strictly be, we'd show it as an expense, but then we have offsetting state revenue. So as far as it being in and out in the budget.
It's that in and out that I talked to you earlier about, Ken, today. Money coming in from the state, and we also have to show that we've expended it.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
No education committee meeting, or is there anything that anybody wanted to add there in education?
We can't hear you, Chris.
Anything anybody wants to add from education? There was no meeting.
You're really low, Chris.
You might as well stand outside. You might as well stand outside, Chris, with a megaphone. We hear about is good.
How's that?
Oh,
Awesome.
much better.
I tried to get cute and cut my mic back so that I could maybe reduce some of the echo. It didn't work.
Maybe we're going to tell the kid, keep your hands off the buttons.
Thanks, Ken. Anyway, education committee had no meeting. Did you want to add anything?
Not at this time. See you all next month.
Policy committee.
Policy committee has, we met April 28th, went over some policies, and we do have 3 policies for first reading. The first one is compulsory student attendance. The next one is naloxone administration procedure. And the third is reporting child abuse and neglect. So at this time, I move that we accept those for first reading.
Second.
I heard 2 seconds, Darcy. One was Leyland.
Thank you.
Typically, what we do with first reading is that we don't ask any questions. We wait until second reading and bring up, any changes or anything that anybody has. So without further ado, we will go on to second reading. And that would be administration of naloxone in school.
I'm sorry, do we need to call the roll for first reading?
Oh, you're right.
Mark Hansen,
Yes.
Jen Watson,
Yes.
Karina,
Yes.
Paul is still not here. Charles not here. Josh Keyser, Ryan Parker,
Yes.
Mark Guzzi,
Yes.
Leland Youngberg,
Yay.
Bill McDonald,
Yay.
Robin,
Yes.
Veronica. Is it a yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Celia?
Yes.
Thank you. Ken Kelleher?
Yes.
Ken Sands?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Stacy? And Chad?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now on to second reading. I was a little premature. Administration of naloxone in schools. I move that we approve that for second reading.
Second.
Any discussion? So does anybody want to say anything about the administration of naloxone in schools? Darcy, I guess you can call the roll.
Thank you. Mark Hanson,
Yes.
Jen Watson,
Yes.
Karina Karen,
Yes.
Chris, Josh, Keyser, Ryan Parker,
Yes.
Mark Guzzi,
Yes.
Leland Youngberg,
Yay. Yay.
Neil McDonald,
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Veronica,
Yes.
Darcy, yes.
thank you. Celia,
Yes.
Ken Kelleher,
Yes.
Ken Sands,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Stacy, and Chad Stratton.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. Transportation Committee had no meeting. Negotiations Committee had no meeting. Oops. Tri-County Vocational. Has not met. Extracurricular had ad hoc, no meeting. Resource officer ad hoc. Back to you, Robin.
Yay. We met on May 4th and had quite a discussion. It came to our attention that Newport, town of Newport, has frozen their budget. So they will not be participating in an SRO program with RSU 19. So we needed to go back to the drawing board. We had quite a discussion with Angela and Mary and Mike definitely weighing in on this subject. And what we have proposed is having a person, a security monitor, we'll call them, to work in the middle school, high school for this next year to find until we can maybe do something different. It was very apparent that we all felt that the SRO position was very valuable, but we didn't think that RSU 19 could swing it all on their own. So we thought of having this position for this year. And if that position works out, we really would like to have that type of position in the 3 elementary schools, Somerset, Sebasticook, and Etna-Dixmont. And so we thought that it would give us many insights, whether it would work in the lower schools, and also that the one facility is very big and has issues in the fact that not everybody can be at the right place at the right time. And we just felt that this person could come in very handy, patrolling the parking lot and in the lunchroom and various places, and also would be a central figure for kids and parents to gravitate towards, and that person could help ease a lot of tension. So that was our proposal that we brought to the budget committee.
Any questions for Robin?
I just want to say that we are not done our work, that we have looked at job descriptions for this position. We have stated that we really feel that this person needs some sort of previous law enforcement background, either a retired state trooper or a deputy sheriff or a game warden, someone, and other than just, a regular layperson. And we will be working towards polishing something for each one of the schools, as well as an educational piece in the near future.
Rob, what are we going to be looking at for salary?
I believe in the budget, it's roughly $38,000, and that is salary plus benefits. Any other questions? Back to you.
Thank you, Robin. Pandemic Ad Hoc Committee, Brian.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to report. I will just say that we have met a couple times and we got through the first two, I guess, bullets, you could call them, on our charge to the committee. Those were pretty easy. The administration feels like it has all of the tools it needs for ensuring information is as up to date as possible and able to go out to the public, members of the public, and to the staff as well. We are now moving on to the third bullet, which is about the development of a communication plan. We kind of got hung up a little bit there. It's more complicated than I think most of us were initially imagining, because now we're trying to figure out how we can ensure there's a communication plan for multiple potential scenarios, particularly next year. I think we've found that the response was really as good as it could be. There are definitely things, I think Mike would share as well, that there are definitely things that could have gone better. There are things that could have gone a lot worse. I think everybody did a really good job. Like I said, we're now moving on to trying to figure out how to communicate different expectations, I guess, depending on what scenario plays out in the fall. Our next meeting is tomorrow.
Anyone got any questions for Ryan or comments?
Yeah, I do, Chris. Ryan, what do you suspect in this coronavirus is going to go on for how long?
We're not really speculating on how long the coronavirus is going to go on. We're kind of looking at three potential scenarios. One is everything is back to complete normal come first day of school. One is nothing is normal and we're still learning remotely. And the third is some kind of hybrid between the two, whereby we may have certain numbers of kids at school. We may have to alternate days. We may go in and out of school. So these are three overarching scenarios.
So we're going to mandate our own thing, or we're going to go on what the state says?
We're generally looking for health guidance from the federal and state CDC, which are pretty much the same. And for educational instruction, we're looking to the commissioner of DOE on the Department itself.
Thank you, Ryan.
Anything else? Thank you, Ryan. Old business is none. New business brings us to our 2021 budget.
All right. Let's see. Everyone should have received a presentation packet yesterday afternoon with discussing the 2021 budget. We can see. I can try. Oh, doesn't look like I can share my screen. But as far as the so we can talk to it. I'm not sure if it's going to be maybe a little difficult if everyone doesn't have the document handy. But as far as yeah, can you give me permission? I don't know. All right. Okay, so can everyone see my screen now? Okay. So good. As far as, so this is the presentation I wanted you to receive yesterday. So we'll just go through this if I can navigate. So as far as the timeline, not sure if you guys have seen something pop up on your screen yet. And we'll cancel out of that maybe. There we go. Oh, my screen has stopped. Let's try this again. Technology here. Sure. All right, I apologize. Bear with me. I'm trying to get back to that presentation. Yeah.
We're all living in the future.
There we go. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just not seeing. Let's see. All right, let's try this again. Take two. Oh, I think I'm getting the screen again. All right. Oh, no, it's gone again. Oh, okay. I got you. Okay, so it's not. So maybe it's better if someone else can share if I send it. All right, all right, so I stopped sharing. Yeah. Okay. So as far as we'll do a combined effort here. So Karina has it up on her screen. Okay, so here we go. So as far as the budget process started back in December when we kind of initially created a schedule. At the school level, they started to create kind of budgets at the classroom level. In January, we started meeting with administrators. We discussed, any new positions. In February, those were kind of finalized. We continue to meet internally with administrators on their budget request. Mike and I met with everybody as we went through the process. In March, the budget committee met with each administrator individually, kind of going over their budget. And we went through the 279 as far as what the revenue sources were. Once we had done that in April, we kind of through the budget committee as far as kind of started paring down the budget. The initial budget was basically 31.4 million. We did get good news as far as we originally put in the budget, about a 7% projection for health insurance increases. It actually came in at 3%, so that was favorable. As Robin kind of alluded to, as far as originally, there's a request to put a kind of a security monitor to each of the elementary schools. That was eliminated from the budget. We it went back through, reduced some supply lines and transportation. We reduced some money out of professional credits, and came up with a budget about 31.1 million. And at this time, obviously, as far as COVID, everything was kind of in high gear. So as far as we wanted to kind of bring this budget down as low as we possibly could. So as far as the budget committee kind of told us to go back and find some more reductions within the budget. We were able to there was a an ed tech position that was kind of ended up being picked up through title funds that Lori was able to pick up in her budget. We were able to kind of review some of the maintenance budgets, found some additional savings as we reviewed those line items. There was a request for a new science teacher at the high school level. With further discussion, it was determined that we would add the science teacher, but we would eliminate kind of an English position that was someone who's retiring. We reduced the out-of-district placement as far as Liz went back through her budget there. We went through, originally we had all staff that was not part of the collective bargaining agreement. We had originally had a 2.5% increase in there. We reduced that down to 2%. There's a pole vault pit for the track that we determined we had funds in this year's budget to pay for, so we moved that out. And then as we kept going here to the beginning of May, originally, and Robin alluded to this, as far as we originally had a SRO officer slated for the middle school, high school building. That was reduced to a security monitor position. So that was the SRO would have been the kind of combination with the Newport Police Department, and would come at a price of around $60,000. The security monitor is in there at a $38,000 price tag. At the high school, there's an ELO coordinator, extended learning opportunities coordinator, who was scheduled to be third paid out of district funds, but Mary was able to get that to be funded through the bar grant that she has. So with all those reductions, as far as the budget committee approved a $30.8 million budget. As far as the next steps after tonight, if this budget gets approved tonight, as far as it will go to, we're currently scheduled for a district budget meeting on June 23rd, and then to be voted at the polls on July 14th. And we'll go through, as far as just this packet is like about 25 pages long. We'll just go through like the first 6 or 7 slides here just to kind of do the overview, and then we can answer any questions. But as far as here's a kind of a summary of the budget, as far as on the revenue side, the current forecast budget is $30.6 million for just the kind of what we call the general fund, then $80,000 for food service and $130,000 for adult ed to come up with a $30.8 million budget. As far as on the revenue side, we have state funding That's up just about $1 million. Part of that is debt service. So as far as I think it's about 415,000 is additional funding to cover debt service. And then the other 600,000 is additional funding. As far as the district fund balance, we're proposing to put 471,429 forward from the fund balance. That is basically the big difference between this year and last year is the fact that last year we paid the bond off, which is over $1 million out of fund balance. That's not the case this year. This year it's just we'll put the same amount forward, the 340,000 for in fund balance. There's 70,000 here for new financial software for the financial for the business office, and also we have a little bit of money for Aetna Dixmont as far as for their piece of the bond payoff. And so that's kind of what it comes down to is a local share of the budget that we're proposing. We're asking about just under $12 million locally, which is an increase of about 222,000, which is a 1.9% increase over last year. As far as from a fund balance perspective, you can see as far as we kind of ended the last fiscal year with about just under 3.9 million in fund balance. But what we pledged 340,000 towards this year's budget and $1,043,000 to pay off the bond in this fiscal year. And where in Aetna Dixmont had their portion of that payoff was about 185,000 that we are crediting back to them over 3 years, and this is year 2 of that. And then we designated 500,000 to be set up into a capital reserve fund. So that takes our available fund balance down to 1.8 million. We keep roughly 3% in fund balance, just as kind of a reserve. That brings it down to available funds that to use is about 910,000. And through the budget committee, we recommended as far as that we put 340,000 towards this budget. Like say, as far as the goal is to kind of replace the financial software system because the current one is becoming obsolete and is no longer supported, and then potentially either capital reserve or just to keep on hand for additional fund balance, $500,000. So that's kind of what's coming out of the budget committee as far as kind of what the fund balance looks like and where we kind of see it going. And then we can slide ahead. As far as the next slide is just kind of an overview of the budget. As far as you can kind of see in here, the total budget is up about $231,000, which is a 0.76% increase. The big thing as you look down through here, the TCTC went up about $9,000, which is a big percentage. But as far as just the additional funds they need to operate their programming and our share of that. The system administration, that big drop that's where the bond payoff was. So that's showing a reduction of $984,000. And then in transportation, that's up 7.75%. And there you have we have buying a new van, and also we received a grant from a Volkswagen settlement, emission settlement that gives us about $68,000 towards a bus, new bus, and then that leaves about $27,000 for us to cover. So, but that's kind of a part of the increases there. Debt service is up 414,000. This is kind of bond 2 that we had for the new school, and that's all state funded. So as far as that was part of the additional $1 million that we received from the state. So if we can go down, we'll kind of talk to as far as what's creating this $230,000 increase. Overall salaries is about $442,000. So that's a mix of mostly the contractual obligations we have as far as people getting step increases, moving lanes with different degrees. But as far as that works out to be about a 2.92% increase over the prior year. Health insurance was about 3%. That's $131,000. Going the opposite direction, we don't have the bond payoff that we had last year. So that's kind of a favorable adjustment. But we do have the additional debt service. We have the creation of the new position for the security monitor for the middle school, high school. That's $38,000. Then we have the new financial software, which is about a 70,000 price tag. And like I said, as far as kind of talk to, as far as in transportation, the bus and van purchase totals about 62,000 increase. Professional credits is up 32,000. That's related to, as far as this year, we had under budgeted professional credits. Fortunately, as far as the title was able to pick up the pieces that we weren't able to, but next year that's not going to be. We don't anticipate that being the case. So we've upped what we budgeted for professional credits in the budget, and that's kind of teachers and staff members taking college level classes. Stipends is another place where we're up. Part of it as far as in the last teacher contract, we had agreed to give the National Board Certified Teachers an additional, kind of locally paid for stipend. And so the National Board piece of that is about 15,000. And then we also in the teacher's contract upped the amount that mentor teachers received to $500 per mentee. So as far as and then also there's an increase in the amount of people sitting on the student intervention teams. So as far as to assist with students who are in need of some support. So as far as those stipends are up about 38,000. Our district placements is up 26,000, and that leaves about just under 20,000 to be kind of what making up the balance, as you'd expect. As far as salary and benefits is the big culprits as far as to any budget increases, just because that's where about 2/3 of our budget goes is to people costs. So you can go ahead and move forward as far as so this is just showing the trends as far as in the budget. This as far as this year we're at the basically 30.7 million. We're at about 0.76 over last year. This year's budget does include 415,000 in new debt service. The next here is just kind of give you a little background and just give you a little bit as far as how the towns are assessed, and it's based on state valuations. And this is just showing the change from last year to next year's, the current budget to next year's budget. And as you expect, as far as like towns like Corona, that their assessment percentage and over as compared to the total has gone down. So obviously their piece of the assessment for next year is down, while a town like Dixmont is the other direction as far as their valuations went up. Here they went up by over $5 million. So as far as their, portion of the budget is going to go up. But that's just kind of give you a little bit of a kind of where the calculation is coming from for the assessments. And then the next page is showing showing the assessments by town, and you'll see that as far as towns like Corona, their assessment is actually down a little bit, but a town like Dixmont is up over 6%. So as far as that kind of correlates to the state valuations we saw on the prior page. But overall, the total is the 1.9% based on valuations. Some, like towns like Corona and I believe, kind of Heartland are down a little bit, but towns like Dixmont and St. Albans are up quite a bit. So, but that's how those are determined. The rest of the presentation was kind of more detail, going into by article and by school, and then by expense type for a lot of items. And hopefully everyone had a chance to look through that, but that's the overview, and I can hopefully answer any questions that anyone may have.
That's a nice presentation, Joe, and I think that when we go to the regional meeting, it will be a little easier for the public to understand.
Thank you.
Joe?
Yep.
What is the reason for the increase of 101,000 on the, I guess that would be the Nokomis regional line?
Which slide are you looking at?
On 11. On the 1, 2, 3, 4, the fifth line down.
Oh, for the high school. Once again, as far as I think if you kind of look at the next page, as far as most all the increase in Article 1 is like of as far as the whole gauntlet here is 125,000, and you'll find salaries and benefits is 104,000 of that. So mostly it's basically wages and benefits. So as far as it's just the mix of, the teachers and where they are at the scale and the increases that they received. As far as most everything, and the regular instruction, particularly at the high school level, it's more salaries and wages. But yeah, as far as that's, it's mostly just wages.
So the high school would have about a third or more increase on a total wage budget, or the quarter of the budget, on the increase of the wages, right?
Well, we'd have to.
440-some thousand on wage increase.
Oh, well, as far as, that's, not every piece. You got benefits in there as well. As far as benefits are 3%. And obviously the high school, that's a large building, a lot of staff. So that's going to cumulatively add up. I don't think I have that piece as far as broken out specifically as far as what the salary and benefit increase was specifically for the high school. But, as far as when I went through as far as and looked at my notes and things as far as it was, that seemed to be the biggest driver for that bucket.
You done a good job, Joe. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Joe, did you say the total overall increase was 0.76?
That's total increase over the budget from this year to last year. That's correct. As far as that number is what it is. There's a couple of reasons that it is that. Keep in mind as far as last year in our budget, we had $1 million that we paid off of a bond. And this year we have about 400,000. Of additional,
I think.
Debt. So there's still
easier to sell.
There's about 600,000 of spending in there. But yes, it is. If you look year to year, it's the 0.76% increase.
I'd say we did all right there.
I think it was
1.9, correct.
The only thing I have to say, Joe, it ain't your fault, but if you take over 10 years, we got $9 million in our budget. That's a pretty good increase.
And I think you need to take a look at a couple of things. That there's a lot of funds in there that are passed through on that 10-year span that's bringing that up. If you took all the pass-throughs out of that, those numbers would come down, and you'll see there were probably somewhere in the range of 24, 25, Joe?
Yeah. Well, in here, as far as if you look, as far as from 10 years ago to today, as far as one big piece is all the debt for the new building. So as far as you got about $5 million worth of debt for, of that increase is just debt service on the new building that we have, which is state funded. So as far as that's a key piece, and I think it probably towards the back there's an Article 10. There's a debt service slide in there, kind of shows as far as what we have. I guess about in this upcoming budget, there's $4.7 million of debt relating to the new middle school, high school. So that's so when you look at that base of 10 years ago, as far as you got about under $5 million of new debt that is being which has offsetting revenue from the state. So as far as it's not necessarily raised locally, it's not increases in the budget locally.
I don't mean to be that thick, Joe, but what I guess I don't fully get this through my thick head. You're talking about the $4 million state funded, but where are we going to get it back? Where's it showing on next year? We're going to get it back.
so that comes in as far as in part of the state revenue piece. As far as if you go back to I think, page 4 on the budget summary, as far as there's under the state aid, as far as that 18, it's part of that 18.3 million that we're getting from the state. Part of that is the debt service to pay for the new building. So as far as the so like 10 years ago, we wouldn't have had that, almost $5 million of revenue from the state. It would have been that much less.
Okay, Joe. I guess that's why I ain't an accountant.
All right. Just as a reminder here, I will entertain a motion to approve the Budget Finance Committee's recommendation for the 2021 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Jason, then Robin. Now we'll go to further discussion. I had a question myself about special education, which shows a substantial drop in administration. But to me, it looks like some of those positions got reallocated to the individual schools.
That's correct. So basically, it's just more of how things are being kind of a state reporting change as far as the big piece of this is the out of district placements, which is about I think about $450,000. But as far as previously, it was all showing up under administration. And this year, its budget, it's being allocated out to the different kind of schools where that student is assigned. As far as they're gonna is showing up under like elementary or secondary education, as opposed to under administrative costs. So that's the big piece.
And we see a similar situation with the district administration.
As far as in the under the system administration, the big change there is in system administration you have the bond payoff that was in that number last year, that isn't in that number this year. The only thing that goes through debt service is the kind of facility debt, as far as for kind of state funded debt, as far as what's under system. The general obligation bond that we had was kind of under Article 6, the system administration article.
Things every year.
Definitely a change where the special ed money went back in schools, that's for sure. This bond payment and between facilities and central office has been back and forth. Yes.
Just a follow up on what Cameron was talking about before. If you look at the history and you look back at 2018, you see about a $4 million jump where the funding for the school came through. So for what we have now, if we basically deduct $4 to $5 million, that puts us what our real budget actually is. Robin, did you want to make a comment?
No.
Anyone else?
I think we worked really hard on this, and I think we should be pleased because we did some cuts, but not. We didn't bleed quite so badly this time.
If there are no other comments, I'll have Darcy call a roll.
I need to do this roll. We have a new sheet called the secretary certification sheet, so I need to do the vote this time, and the vote is yes, no, or abstain. Anybody else set with that? Karina,
Yes.
Celia,
Yes.
Chris,
Yes.
Mark Guzzi,
Yes.
Mark Hanson, Mark, you still with us? Mark Hanson? He's there. Mark, do you have a vote on this? Back on. Ken Keeler? You guys hear me? Ken, do you have a vote? Keeler?
Yes. Yes, mine.
Stacy?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Veronica?
Yes.
Mark is a yes. Thank you. Ryan?
Yes.
Ken Sands?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Chad?
Yes, and Mark chatted that he voted yes.
Yeah, thanks. Kenny?
Yes.
Leland?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, next item of business is approval of the district budget meeting and validation dates.
Point of information. What was the result of the vote?
Sorry, the motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
So the district budget meeting date was June 23rd.
Karina will lead the motion for us.
Bear with me. I move that the vote entitled Vote to Call and Approve the Warrants for the Budget Meeting and the Budget Validation Referendum and to authorize the notice of amounts adopted be approved in form presented to this meeting and that a copy of said vote be included with the minutes of this meeting. Vote to call and approve the warrants for the budget meeting and the budget validation referendum and to authorize the notice of amounts adopted. That the warrant for the Regional School Unit number 19 budget meeting presented to the meeting be approved and that a Regional School Unit budget meeting be called for June 23, 2020 for the purpose of voting on the annual budget for the Regional School Unit for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. That the warrant and notice of election for the Regional School Unit budget validation referendum presented to the meeting be approved and that a Regional School Unit budget validation referendum be called for July 14, 2020 for the purpose of approving the budget adopted at the Regional School Unit budget meeting for the 2020-2021 fiscal year. That the form of notice of amounts adopted at the budget meeting presented to this meeting be approved and that the superintendent of schools of the Regional School Unit be authorized and directed to complete said notice in accordance with the Regional School Unit budget meeting on June 23, 2020, and to cause copies of said notice as completed to be delivered to the municipal clerks of each municipality of the Regional School Unit for posting at the polling places for the July 14, 2020 Regional School Unit budget validation referendum, and that the budget meeting warrant, the warrant and notice of election and the notice of amounts adopted at budget meeting shall each be signed by a majority of the school board, and that such signatures may be made electronically by execution of counterparts or in person at the convenience of the members of the school board.
Do I have a second for that?
Second that.
Second by Veronica.
All right.
There's no
Discussion?
Go ahead.
How are we going to have a public regional meeting when we are not to have more than or up to 50 people in a room?
Through our attorney and a lot of superintendents across the state have sent a request to have a budget meeting in multiple classrooms or spaces where you can hold 50 people. We would do it with probably the middle school gym, the high school gym. You know, we usually don't get maybe 70, so maybe some people in one room, some people in another, 6 feet apart. You don't touch any of the ballots. Everything has to be set up 6 days ahead of time. Come in, probably some type of protocol like we had here with, I don't know if you take temperatures and stuff like that, but everybody stays spread out, and you still have the only one vote that would be by ballot would be the one for above EPS, but we would probably have multiple cameras set up in different rooms so people could go and ask questions, same questions. And Bill Stockmeyer is still going to moderate, probably from the auditorium, and people still get a chance to interact and ask questions. And then the budget clerks, I assume, will go to those spaces and make sure everybody gets a chance to get fully counted and fully ask questions and interact. But we have not gotten a response back from that. But the point is to send that out and say, is this okay to have? Because we know we need to have a meeting. I heard rumors that the governor was going to say something about this yesterday in her message. She didn't, but it's on the top of all our plates as far as municipalities and superintendents. How are we going to make this happen? So we're going to plan for a safe meeting, and that's why we picked this date and a moderator, and then try to move forward. Hopefully, it'll either be limited. Limits will be lifted, or we'll do it the way we think is the safest we possibly can.
Good.
Mike, what is the date of this meeting?
23rd.
The first one's June 23rd.
June 23.
Sorry. And then the validation on the 14th of July.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any further questions or discussion? Darcy, you can run the roll on this one.
Right, Mark Hanson? Jen Watson?
Yes.
Karina?
Yes.
Paul? Chris? Josh? Ryan Parker?
Yes.
Mark Gussie?
Yes.
Leland?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Veronica?
Yes.
Celia?
Yes.
Ken K?
Yes.
Ken Sands?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Stacy? And Chad?
Yes.
Mark voted by chat.
Mark Hanson?
Yes.
Did he vote yes?
Yes, he did.
Thank you. Thank you.
The budget meeting validation dates and the warrants are approved. We will begin signing warrants as soon as we have an opportunity. Moving on to staff resignations.
Chris, I'm sorry, did that include the warrants?
Yeah, we're all set.
Okay.
Yes, it did.
All right, very good, thank you.
We are going to sign those warrants, and it's because if everybody else checks out, If you have a time that works good for you to come in, you can like put it in the chat box or something like that. Kind of looking for Celia, Mark Guzzi, Mark Hansen, Ken Keeler, maybe Ryan, Ken Sands, and Jason, and Evelyn. If she knows when you're going to be around, she'll hang out. But it shouldn't take that long. And if you want to get one of those slots, put it in the chat box, and Evelyn will take care of that. Resignations. Yes, we had Sarah Kent, guidance counselor here at the high school, is moving away with her husband. I think he has another spot. I think that Amy Feeney was the same situation. And Sharon Gordon wanted to go into the library.
You also have one in our adjustments.
Yes, a new one came in.
Carrie Moody.
Gary Moody. Nominations.
Yes, please.
Carissa Pacheco is grade 1. She is one of lives in St. Albans, did a lot of student teaching and subbing in our building. Very strong choice for first grade. And then I have Tim. Before we do all the whole list of everybody, that would be a new position for Carissa Pacheco, and then Tim Thompson is currently, he's more of experienced teacher coming out of Lewiston. He and his wife are relocating to Bangor area. Comes very, very highly recommended by all his references. Unanimous approval from that committee would be higher on the scale, but is Laura and her team's recommendation. So I don't know if you want to take Carissa and Tim together or how you want to do that. And then we have the whole list of first, second, third year probationary teachers.
Do we need any action for staff resignations?
I don't know.
Actions for resignations, that's usually informational. We have sometimes accepted them with regrets.
Okay, thank you.
Staff nominations, let's take the new people first, which is the Carissa and Tim.
I move that we accept them as a block.
Second.
That was Robin and Leyland again. Any discussion?
Yeah, correct.
Go ahead, Tim.
We're gonna be putting her on payroll anyway. Are they gonna take out right on the payroll? Or these other teachers gonna do out? Are they gonna do out the school year?
These two contracts will start when the new contract starts. Yeah, they're not till next year.
Thank you.
There's nobody else. Darcy, go ahead.
Mark Hansen.
You said yes by chat.
Thank you very much. Jen.
Yes.
Karina.
Yes.
Josh. Ryan.
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Leland.
Yes.
Bill.
Yes.
Robin.
Yes.
Veronica.
Yes.
Celia.
Yes.
Ken.
Yes.
Ken Sands.
Yes.
Jason.
Yes.
Stacy.
Yes.
And Chad.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so those two are approved for, I don't know what we call it, issuance of contract or something. First, second, and third year probationary teachers and first year continuing contract teachers. We have quite a long list. And this is based on the recommendation of administration for advancement from first year to second year to third year to first year continuing contract.
I make a motion that we approve the list as written.
Second.
That's Chad and Robin. Any discussion? Seeing none, go ahead, Darcy.
All right, and Mark.
He says yes.
Thank you. Jen?
Yes.
Karina?
Yes.
Brian Parker?
Yes.
Mark Guzzi?
Yes.
Leland?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Veronica? Yes? No?
Veronica's yes.
She's a yes? Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. Celia?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ken Sands?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
Chad?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm about to go dead on my battery, but staff appointments are the first and second year continuing teachers carry and are approved. The staff appointments are informational.
We have Caitlin Newhall and Sharon Gordon.
Yeah, Caitlin will start next year too. Ken, once we get back in session as a Ed Tech 2, special ed at Nokomis Regional Middle School, and Sharon Gordon wanted to transfer over to the Ed Tech in the middle school library, middle high school. That's all.
Anyone got any future agenda items?
Oh, calendar. Thank you. We got new business.
Under new business, we also have a calendar to talk about.
And motion to provide the compensation. Thank you. First, these two items really go together. So we've kind of had the opportunity to make our calendar different because we went to remote learning. And then we've kind of had this opportunity to, I guess, make adjustments based on what we see as the end of the year. Two things that have happened is on May 13th, we were supposed to have an early release day that we didn't really for professional development. It was obviously a work day, which doesn't really impact us because it would have been a half day and it's still a student day. On Friday, this Friday, the 22nd, would be a professional development day, but really it's going to turn into a student day because we're not going to stop and do professional development and hold on to things at that point in time when the end of the year is so close. So, and then the 12th is really our last day, June 12th, because of snow days. And the last day is a professional development day. So originally, I guess what we're saying is at the end of the school year calendar needs to be adjusted on some levels to either back it up to the 10th, and some districts are even closing it on the 5th. So we can't just do this. I mean, I'm sure under the governor's order, we probably have a lot of flexibility as superintendents, but I didn't want to say anything or do anything without you guys knowing what's going on. So we either need to back it up to 10th, maybe the 5th for the last day of our calendar under the conditions that we're under. So don't know if anybody wants to make a motion or just to discuss this further or have any questions, but we really should address this issue at the end of the year. At the very least, it should go back to like the 10th as our last day because we didn't use snow days and we're going to have a professional development day that we're not using on the 22nd. It'll be a student day.
Does that mean that we will still be serving meals till June 10th?
Good question. We still have the opportunity under we actually have the Veronica's question was can we extend the meals, and that was a big conversation. Under one of our exceptions, we can go out to the 30th. Actually, I don't know if we're going to have staff to the 30th, to be honest with you, but Dave and I will try to maybe go to remote sections or towns or whatever we need to do, or we're going to check on the staff that we have, but we definitely can go through the 12th.
I make a motion to have our last day June 5th.
Okay.
I second that.
So, Darcy, did you hear that? It was Karina motion,
June 5th?
and then the 5th,
Okay.
and seconded by Veronica.
Thank you.
What kind of feedback have you had back on the teachers like Marion and
We had that. How did I mute myself?
The feedback is, I think June 5th sounds great. People have been doing a great job, but the struggle is real.
Did we lose Chris?
He's here. His computer's just dead.
Oh, do you want me to take over as chair? Do we need it?
I will pass the message on for what Chris is saying.
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to go with what Mary put out.
He thinks we should go with what Mary put out.
I have a question.
Ryan?
How does this impact contracts with professional development?
We're still going to hold on to teachers till the end of their contracts, and we will do some professional development. We want to do some, have them get together. Actually, they requested, I met with the association about this just the other day, and they'd actually like to come in and meet in small groups in person if they possibly can in safe ways. They're tired of being on Zoom like the rest of us, and maybe meet with the teacher of the kid they're going to have above and below, and some grade level meetings and those types of things. So we're still going to hold on to the teachers and debrief and talk to, they're still going to be committed. It's just the students saying, you've done enough. We appreciate it. Pass in the stuff you need to pass in, and, but the teachers will stay connected.
Okay, so that will meet our contractual obligations to provide professional development.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, they'll be out the same as middle school will be the same as everybody will be out.
We didn't hear that.
Jenny's question was, would the middle school then be now the 5th? And I'm saying to Jenny, yes, we had a lot of conversations about this as an admin team. And now with your decision to go to the 5th, everybody will be the 5th. It won't be just the high school. It will be everybody. Yeah. What? Yeah. May 29th was new learning.
So do we need to vote on this?
Yes.
We're calling for a vote. We have a motion and a second, and a discussion's been had. Chris is asking for a vote.
Darcy?
Great, thank you. Mark Hanson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mark voted.
Jen?
Yes.
Karina?
Yes.
Ryan?
Yes.
Markazi?
Yes.
Leland?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Robin,
Yes.
Veronica,
Yes.
Celia,
Yes.
Ken,
Yes.
Ken Sands,
Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Stacy,
Yes.
Chad.
Yes.
Thank you.
Last item we talked about is that because we've been summer feeding for the last 8 weeks, 9 weeks, we get reimbursed at a higher level for our summer food reimbursement. We also have been feeding way more students than we probably would be under normal circumstances. Therefore, what we want to do is when we see what that revenue is going to be, probably early June, take a look at that, make sure we've recovered the $80,000 that we were a little worried about that we provide locally, analyze that we can restock our refrigerators, and then look at some form of stipend for the frontline workers, if you will, that have been working every day or every 2 days to pack the food, put it on buses, and deliver it. So probably primarily be your food service people, any custodians, nurses, or people who have been there in the front lines, and
Is that two bus drivers, Mike?
bus drivers, yep. And we don't know what the stipend will be. We don't want to leave ourselves short, but we feel like they deserve, if anything, something for everything that they've done. And I don't want to see that we have a surplus of money that we're going to sit on out of food service that we couldn't give them something. I don't know what it is, so that's why I want the motion to allow the superintendent to provide compensation to COVID-19 frontline workers, being bus line, by COVID frontline worker, I'm talking about a bus driver, food service custodian, somebody who's been out there elbow to elbow, unfortunately, but getting the kids fed.
So moved.
Chad?
Second.
Ken?
Chad and Ken. Mike, can you send me that motion, please?
I sure can. Put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Question.
Discussion. Yeah. Chris is back in, I think. You went back in, Chris? I'll let you in.
Yeah.
So I have a point of discussion. Will it be prorated for based on how many hours you worked and whatnot?
Yeah, if you work one day, you're not, it's like we've got pretty good records of who came in and worked. David, Lila, Dean, even Joe and Jamie will know who. You're right. We talked about that today.
I'm glad to hear, Mike, that you said that we would not only, we robbed every school of surplus to feed kids. And so we need to put that back, because if not, we'll have to, out of our own pocket next year, be paying for that. So I think, I don't have a problem with giving them something, but we need to make ourselves whole first.
Yep.
Any other questions? Chris, you're here, right?
Yeah, I'm back. Not something I've tried to do with my phone before. Any other discussion?
This is Ryan. I have a question.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Could I please have the motion read?
Go ahead, Mike.
Motion to allow the superintendent to provide compensation or compensation to COVID-19 frontline workers.
What's your thoughts, Ryan?
I'd like to move to amend to include the following: from excess revenue remaining after all dining services expenses are met.
I'll accept that as a friendly amendment.
Who seconded the amendment? Oh, all right.
I accept that.
Thank you.
All right, so please excuse my ignorance, but how do I write that?
I'll put it in the chat.
Thank you.
Another question.
Go ahead.
Will this include folks who are not in that job qualification? So for instance, they're not a bus driver, they're not a dining services or custodial staff, but maybe they're an ed tech who's been there every day, or
like Miss Mitchell, who has been rocking it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All right, Darcy, it's all yours.
Mark Hanson.
He votes yes.
Thank you. Jen?
Yes.
Karina?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Markuzzi?
Yes.
Leland?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Robin?
Yes.
Veronica?
Yes.
Celia?
Yes.
Ken?
Yes.
Ken Sands?
Yes.
Jason?
Yes.
Stacy?
Yes.
And Chad?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimous. Any future agenda items?
I'm sorry, Chris, do I need to worry about the friendly amendment for that, or can I just go with the original motion?
Friendly amendment does not require a vote because it was accepted by the people who made the original motion.
Okay, thank you.
Vote on the whole thing at once.
Thank you.
Mike, I'd like to, I haven't had a chance. I was going to should have asked you today there, but I didn't get a chance. So these ladies down there work their guts out. I mean, Ryan's been there, so he knows what this is all about down there, putting them bag lunches up. And I know that the janitors are helping out, the custodians are helping out, but them ladies have been doing a lot of lifting on them milk crates, and over a period of time, they get heavy. I like to make sure that they got as much help as possible on lifting them milk crates, putting them back into the cooler and bringing them out if that's possible.
Do what?
Physical help.
Lifted on the milk crate for Auburn. The cartons of milk come in the crate,
Right.
and when you do about 100 of them, they get heavy for them ladies, and you stack them 5 higher to roll them back inside the cooler.
So noted.
Chris, can you also note, please, that there are a lot of teachers that would provide assistance if we were able to go until the end of the month, because we're not able to do so now because of remote learning, but that is not necessarily because we don't want to. It's just because we are teaching at that time.
Okay, noted.
Thank you.
Sure. We have a question in the room about graduation.
Mary, you want to give us your thoughts on quickly your processional and the activities we like discussed?
We're going to move forward holding the typical events that we do through that graduation weeks. It's really not just the graduation ceremony. There's some little events. We've planned some things to make it feel fun, make it feel special. We're going to do gift bags with their cap and gowns, and then awards and yearbooks and any other things we need to get out to them. We need to have a day where they come to school to turn in their laptops and uniforms, but also give them their cap and gown. So I've communicated with Amanda Cretion out of Newport Fire Rescue, helped me coordinate with all the towns' first responders. So it's going to do two things. They're going to get a motorcade to school the day they need to pick up their cap and gowns. So it allows us to stagger the amount of students we have. So from each hometown, so all the kids from, Newport will gather. I think they're going to use the old Newport school at X time and get escorted by Newport Fire and Rescue, Heartlands. All the towns are in on it. So hopefully that should be a pretty cool day. That's June 9th on Wednesday. We're going to do kind of like a project graduation, do a prize giveaway, kind of a fun online event that the advisors are going to coordinate to do that. We're going to do a couple of virtual practices, like we typically have marching practice, to make sure everybody kind of knows the drill. On Thursday, we're going to do a virtual class night. I met with class officers. They want to do all the same kind of speaking parts. So I did a Renaissance assembly a few weeks ago, kind of a practice too, to see if I could blend some recorded things with some live cue people to speak. Went okay. And I'll give kids the students will either have the opportunity to pre-record it or to just join live for those speaking parts. For all the scholarships and awards, I'm going to try to do a slideshow. I will verbally announce it, but as I'm saying it, have a picture of the student and then a printed list of what they have. And so that will be class night. And then on Friday, June 12th, which is graduation, we talked with class officers and kind of looked at two models that most schools are using. Either one, kind of like a drive-in movie theater type ceremony, and we opted against that because of the limited numbers and the time it's going to take. We didn't think anybody would enjoy sitting in a car in the middle of June for 2 or 3 hours. And the students thought that felt a little impersonal and just uncomfortable. And so we're going to do what they're kind of calling a walk-through ceremony, where each student will individually come into the building. They can have 4 people with them. The guidelines that we have is we can't have more than 50 people in the building at a time. That includes the staff who are helping with the ceremony. Everybody has to be 6 feet apart, and everybody has to wear a mask. We're having face masks made and screen printed. Bergs is helping us out. So they'll say, all the graduates will be the same. We'll say class of 2020. And so each kind of family pod was on several meetings with the state, kind of DOE people asking questions. So the cool thing is the family members of the graduate don't need to be 6 feet apart from each other. So they can kind of form a family pod. So we're going to have students come in. There's a nice paved walkway into the band room. They're going to enter that area, come down the hallway. We'll have marked points to space out each group. So, we maintain that safe distance. And then we're going to use the lobby area, because I think it's beautiful, as a presentation space. We opted against the gym because it's going to feel cavernous and empty. Wanted to try to have a personal feel. And so we're going to have just a very limited staff, Mr. Hammer, myself. Matt Brown's going to live stream, class advisors to kind of help us. We're going to, we've got a portable burgundy backdrop. We've got a nice burgundy tablecloth with the school crest on it. We'll kind of use that as a diploma presentation space. So we're going to make sure the diplomas are kind of set aside, all put together for several days. Nobody's going to touch them. And then, it'll probably be me just kind of I'll wear a glove, place the diploma on the table. And we thought it would be nice to let one of the family members pick the diploma up and hand it to their child. Just thought it could be intimate and personal. So once that diploma is issued, the family members are going to exit out the front door and get in their car, drive around back, while the graduate goes from the lobby into the gym. We have a professional photographer who we've hired to take an individual picture. And during that picture, we've got the okay from the state that the graduates can take their mask off and have that picture taken. And the nice thing with digital photography is we can take all those individual pictures and make a composite class picture. for students to have. And then the students will kind of just go out the gym. There's that side entrance out to the side parking lot where the parents can pick them up. We've sent a form out to the graduates. We think this is going to take 3 to 4 hours. You know, if we've got in the 120s for graduates, and if we think just 2 minutes per graduate, that's 4 hours. We think once we get rolling, we can keep it moving a little bit quicker than that. But, you know, I don't want to make it feel like people are sprinting. This is kind of their one moment. And if it means we, you know, take a few more seconds, I want to take a few more seconds. But we kind of think of it as 3-hour slots. And so we're going to start at 5 o'clock. And so we're asking seniors, do you want to be in the 5 to 6 band, the 6 to 7, you know, 7 to 8 band? You know, what's your preference? And then asking them to give us kind of 5 students in order of preference that they would like to be in proximity. And so, you know, if you've got like a really close friend or, you know, maybe a cousin who's also graduating, that they could, you know, maybe be in the group in front or behind so you can see it. So I think I said we'll live stream it all. The traditional components of graduation, like the student speaking parts, you know, I usually do a speech. We're going to pre-record, and, you know, I've got, if anybody saw the Renaissance Assembly, we've got that nice end backdrop in the gym. It worked pretty well. Recording it using Google Meets. And so we'll record the speeches ahead of time and put it, you know, have Matt Brown help us kind of edit that as one. And then once the diploma processional, as we live stream it, we'll record it. And then we'll put those two together for a final, you know, kind of cohesive graduation ceremony that we can kind of play out later. I'm going to do honors banquet. I'm going to try to do it just like this, but I'm going to use Google Meets and get the stoles to the parents ahead of time at home. And so I'll say, Evelyn Curtis, graduating magna cum laude, and the screen will go to, you know, Evelyn at home, and her parents can put her stole on her. So hopefully you're trying, you know, just trying to, you know, instill, like, you know, these achievements are still going to be recognized, and it's going to look a little different, feel a little different, but I'm getting excited about graduation. I honestly think it's going to be very emotional. Seniors are bummed, obviously, but they're proud of being at the school. You know, and they're proud of being Nokomis Warriors. So I think it's going to be a pretty special day. You know, we're going to do some decorating in the lobby and out front. We've got some big tents to kind of cover the walkway, and we'll get some flowers and make it look nice.
Thank you, Mary.
Couple shoes.
All right. Anything else for the future? Next meeting date is
June 16th. June 16th.
June 16th. And hopefully we won't have any extra shoes hit the floor between now and then. But
Chris, I'm sorry, what was that date?
16th.
Thank you.
All right. If there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you.